He says he wants me, but can't see me. What's going on? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. One of the aspects of my work is to help people understand certain behaviours that they come across and to realise that they're dealing with a narcissist, and then to unravel that behaviour for them within the context of that individual's narcissism. Now, I make it clear that behaviours can be engaged in by any classification of person. So, for example, let's take the application of physical violence. This can be done by a narcissist, but not all narcissists are physically violent. A narcissistic person who's not a narcissist can be physically violent. A normal person can be physically violent, and an empath can be physically violent. The drivers behind this are different, dependent on the differing categorizations. Similarly, a narcissist could give somebody a hug. So could a narcissistic person. So also could somebody who is a normal or an empath. But again, the driver behind that behaviour differs from classification of person to the other. It's hugely important to be able to understand the whys and wherefores of the way that somebody behaves, particularly where it's causing you confusion. And it's commonly the case that there are many instances of behaviour that exist within, for instance, a romantic relationship that causes a person to be befuddled and perplexed, and they don't really understand why. They don't realise they're dealing with a narcissist, and therefore they make the mistake of attributing the behaviour to something else. They're tired, they're stressed, they've had a difficult day at work, maybe it's something I've said. And thus, they go down the wrong road, ending up with the wrong conclusion and continuing to beat their head against a brick wall as they fail to understand what it is that they're dealing with and what they have to do. Therefore, part of my work is taking these instances and explaining them from the perspective of narcissism so that you can understand, taking an interaction, for instance, why is it that someone suddenly stops responding to text messages? Why is it that somebody comes in and out of your life repeatedly? What's going on there? Now remember, just because somebody engages in that behaviour in itself doesn't mean necessarily that they are a narcissist. But there are certain behaviours which are undertaken far more by people who are narcissists than those who are not. As ever, in order to make that determination as to what you're dealing with, you can't rely just upon one instance of behaviour. What that one instance of behaviour might do is prove to be the one red flag that you've actually sat up and taken notice of, so that you go and look at other aspects of this person's behaviour, so you study the evidence of how they've behaved over a sustained period of time to determine, I'm dealing with a narcissist. Then, having made that assessment and established that that's what you're dealing with, you're then able to understand why, by applying my work to this person's behaviour. Taking something that's not explained in esoteric or scientific terms, which would then be difficult for you to grasp, not because you're stupid, but because you're not familiar with that. But what I do is take those familiar situations that you experience that you may not realise are attributable to narcissists, and then explain what's truly going on. And one example of this is a situation where the narcissist is saying one thing but doing another. This is entirely common with narcissists. It's part of the narcissist conditional asterisk. Please watch the video of that name to understand what that is. And is also demonstrative of the way that a narcissist sees nothing wrong, because of their narcissism, in saying one thing but doing the opposite. This is because the narcissist can't be shackled. And if the narcissist can achieve something by saying rather than doing, then that's what we will do. And thus, you will often find yourself confused by, for example, the narcissist saying, "Never darken my doorstep again, I hate you," and then calling you the next day. Hang on, I thought he didn't want anything more to do with me, yet here he is telephoning me. We can't be together. It doesn't work. And then they're knocking on your door wanting a shag. Hang on a second. He said it doesn't work, and therefore Presumably he wouldn't want to see me, then he's calling round. I don't get it. You're left confused. These contrarian behaviours, understandably, make no sense. And a common one is where the individual says that they want you, but then says that they can't be with you or can't see you. From your perspective, you naturally think this. Hang on. If this person says they want me, okay, then it follows they would want to see me, yes? If they're interested in me, that they like me, if they love me, then presumably they'd want to spend time with me. That, logically, in your world follows. But the problem is that when you're the victim of a narcissist, the actual explanation as to what's going on, you often struggle to accept. This is because you're experiencing high emotional thinking. For those of you who aren't familiar with what emotional thinking is decision-making made in the absence of logic. It's not being hysterical, but it's simply something that those that are addicted to the narcissist, empathic individuals, have generated by their addiction to keep them locked in the symbiotic relationship with the narcissist. Thus, it prevents you from seeing clearly what's going on. It prevents you from gaining insight and knowledge as to what you're actually dealing with. Because if you saw it clearly, you would go, I'm being abused by a narcissist, I'm out of here. And therefore, your addiction wouldn't be fed any longer. So what your addiction must do in order to keep you locked into the relationship so that it gets fed by you engaging and talking to and having sex with and spending time with and thinking about the narcissist, etc., it causes you to fail to see what's truly going on. It obscures the logic. It hides the red flags. It obscures the black flags so that you don't act upon them. And it prevents you from truly gaining understanding. It's like attempting to read something when you're drunk. The words get all blurred. The letters are all over the place. You need to sober up and then you can read it. Similarly, where you find that an actual explanation for the narcissist behaviour is not making sense, what you need to do is, in effect, sober up. You need to get that emotional thinking down, and there's only one way you can do that. No contact. The implementation of a total no-contact regimen over the 5 arenas of interaction, and you can consult with me so I can explain to you what they are and how you do it effectively, results in your emotional thinking coming down, and also you no longer have to experience the abusive behaviours. So the contradictory behaviours of the narcissist you won't experience any longer. Thus, you cure the problem. And you'll also understand why the narcissist treated you this way, because as your emotional thinking comes down, it allows logic to come to the fore. So it's very important not only to seek understanding, but to seek that understanding at a point when you will actually be able to absorb the information and that it's not obscured by heightened emotional thinking. Therefore, when you watch certain of my videos and you think that kind of makes sense, but then you find yourself struggling to absorb and implement it, ask yourself this question. Might it be because my emotional thinking is too high? Have I been dealing with the narcissist? Have I been thinking a lot about the narcissist? I've been talking about the narcissist. If so, that's keeping your emotional thinking high, and therefore it stops you understanding. I convey this information in a way that is easy to understand. That's why I don't use detailed psychological terms or esoteric ones. I couch it in the language that you will understand, utilizing everyday experiences that you've come across with the narcissist. And therefore, if you're not getting it, it's not because you're stupid, it's because your emotional thinking is blocking you. Why is it that a narcissist would say to you, I want you, but I can't see you? It is, of course, linked to the prime aims. The narcissist must obtain one or more of the prime aims from you as a person in the fuel matrix. You are an appliance, and you're there to be used by the narcissist. You must be controlled. You may be there to provide fuel. You invariably are. You may be there for character traits, and you may also be there for residual benefits. Those are the 4 prime aims. Every interaction that a narcissist has with another person is about the prime aims. As I make this video now, it's part of the prime aims. controlling my audience by giving them information and assistance that they require, and I'll gain some fuel by virtue of the comments. Not that I need it, but it's still fuel. I also gain residual benefits because I make money from what I'm doing, and most importantly of all, it enables me to extend my reach and legacy by the creation of all of this body of information associated with me, H.G. Tudor, about narcissism and psychopathy. Thus, the creation of this video isn't because I want to help, isn't because I'm a nice guy, isn't because I would just want to share my knowledge, it's because it caters to the prime aims. And it's the same with any other narcissist. Thus, when that narcissist is interacting with you and says, I really adore you, I can't keep my hands off you, I want you, he's flattering you. And that's being done to control you and to elicit a response from you to obtain fuel. So you then logically say, well, if you love me and you adore me and you can't keep your hands off me, presumably you'll want to come and spend some time with me. When can we next see one another? And then the narcissist says, I can't do that. I'm not able to see you. And you think, this doesn't make any sense. You're champing at the bit like some kind of rabid sex beast wanting to have a shag with me and spend time with me, and then you say that you can't. I don't understand. The fact is, it's about the prime aims. Thus, what is it the narcissist wants to do? Subconsciously control you. By sending you a flattering text message or speaking to you in terms in a telephone call, and you responding going, oh, goody gumdrops, I like the sound of that, you've demonstrated that you are, 1, under control, and 2, you've provided fuel. Therefore, 2 fundamental aspects of the prime aims have been secured by the narcissist. Therefore, why does he need to do anything else? He doesn't. He doesn't then need to see you, because he's already got what he needs by talking about it. Now, in some instances, the narcissist would come and see you because the narcissism determines that you are further to be controlled and he wants more fuel from you in person, and the residual benefit of having sex with you, perhaps the residual benefit of going out for dinner with you and enjoying a nice meal. But in other instances, the narcissism says, no, we don't need that. Indeed, it might view it as problematic spending time with you because it could affect other relationships in the fuel matrix. For instance, if this person is having an affair with you, it could derail their marriage because there's a risk of them being found out. Thus, they control you by flattering you. Oh, I adore you. I really would want to spend time with you. You're so sexy, I can't keep you out of my head, but I can't meet up with you. In your world, that doesn't make any sense. But in the world of the narcissist, it makes perfect sense. It's about the pursuit of the prime aims. Think of it this way. You need some milk. Would you, 1, walk to your convenience store and purchase a pint of milk? Or would you drive to an airport, get on a plane, fly to another continent, get in a taxi, go to a supermarket, purchase the pint of milk, and then do the reverse journey? All you require is a pint of milk. So is it the convenience store or the transcontinental trip? Of course it's the continental trip. No, it is the convenience store, naturally. And it's the same with the narcissist. The narcissist wants to get to the prime aims quickly, efficiently, and with a minimum of expenditure in terms of time, effort, energy, money. Thus, it's not going to go down the transcontinental route. It's going to go down the convenience store route. And thus, if the narcissist can control you and gain fuel by just saying something to you rather than following through on it, the narcissist will do so. And thus, that is why you get the contradiction. Thus, it's important for you to understand that's why the narcissist behaves that way, and if it's still not making sense to you, understand your emotional thinking could be getting in the way and blocking. If you need instances of what you're experiencing with someone unraveled by me, the expert, if you want to understand, if you want help with gaining that knowledge and driving down your emotional thinking, then join the thousands of others who've consulted with me. Use the link in the video description. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.